which is we'll be talking about some general things to do with musicianship and communication, that kind of thing. And then we've got a variety of seminars going on through the day that are listed in your programme. So have a look at those. One of the things that just want to get across from the very start of the day, at Musicademy, we're very much involved in contemporary worship musicianship training. So obviously things to do with contemporary bands, and people often read that as rock band. The one thing that we really want to get across from the outset of today is the 5-piece rock band solution isn't necessarily the answer to all your church needs. It's not the answer to better worship. And sometimes doing it to contemporary music trainings can sometimes seem like this is the answer. What we're actually trying to get across today is we've got all sorts of people representing all sorts of different instruments they play. And we're really actually pleased that we're partnering with RSCM here. Because what we're trying to really say to people, it doesn't matter what your instrument is, it's about your unique expression. It's not about getting rid of orchestral instruments if you have trouble. You know, it's not even about how do you just blend things together to make a cacophony of noise. What it really is about is taking the skills you have, however small or large they may be, and giving you some extra insights on how you can work together and integrate into playing in a kind of a band situation. Now, the thing about today is a lot of the contemporary songs you don't get leads. At best you get chord chart, most of the time you actually get nothing. So we're actually going to be looking at some skills to help you develop playing together as a team with an art set arrangements where you have to look and listen and communicate. And it's very much that kind of practical ideas that can help you. And it doesn't matter what instrument you play, there are some building blocks in music which will help you all the way across. And I'm looking for your participation as well. So if you've got questions, don't forget to put your hands up, join in the conversation. We don't know absolutely everything here. I know very little, Tim knows the less. So, Brock's player. Very much join in. Tim, did you want to say anything before we start seminars?
No, I thought what would be great to do as a starting point is just to kind of make sure we know what everyone plays and see the breadth that we've got in the room. We're going to start with orchestral instruments. How many of you play an orchestral instrument of some description? So trumpet, violin, flute, anything like that, tuba.
Wonderful.
Count brass band in that, so anything kind of melody instruments. Great. Do you want to just yell out what you play? I think I heard the clarinet, trumpet, violin, tuba.
Brilliant.
Oh, hang on, I'm missing a couple. Another violin. We've got flutes, small violins, cellos, saxophone, great. Harmonica.
Wow.
The great thing about harmonica players is they've got an excuse for only being able to play in one chord.
Yeah.
Not like guitarists. That's brilliant. Okay, how many people here play the acoustic guitar? Okay, of you, how many of you would count yourselves as lead worshippers, worship leaders, whatever you want to call that role? People who sing as well and kind of lead and sing.
It's about half.
Great, that's okay, quite a good number, brilliant. How many of you play electric guitar? So there's quite a few acoustic guitar players as well, brilliant.
A bit. Electric. Yeah, great.
Mine is, it depends who you ask.
Yeah.
If you ask me, yeah. How many people play the bass guitar? It's the same hands, isn't it? That's brilliant, okay, brilliant. Drummers? Fantastic.
Percussionists.
Yeah, percussion, let's say that. Good. Oh, and a little band as well at the back. Brilliant, excellent. How many people who are keyboard or piano players? Fantastic. Any of you organists as well? Brilliant.
Keyboard piano players, who of those comes from a primarily classically trained background? Okay, and he comes from a kind of what I call a more contemporary background where you're used to more playing by ear and just following on chords. Okay, so mostly classical players, that's really helpful.
Yeah. And vocalists.
for you, and who does backing vocals, as in a contemporary backing vocal kind of thing, and who's quiet? Okay, this is good. Right, so, first thing we want to talk about, we're going to get a bit involved, is to do with communication and stage placement.
Oh, this is what we've got on that way. We've got sound desk.
Who plays the sound desk?
That is so true. Who plays that?
No microphone's going to be turned off for the rest of the day.
That's such a good point as well, isn't it?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, because, you know, I might be a great player, I'm not, but I might be. But without personal sound, actually, you can't work out what the blend is in most churches these days. Most people rely on sound.
Now, what we'll do first, we're going to ask for a pretend band. So this is a chance to not be asked to play anything or do anything, you're just going to be asked to stand somewhere. So we need a pretend drummer, a pretend guitarist, a pretend worship leader, various pretend instruments. So can I have a pretend drummer, please? Anybody who's willing to volunteer. It's not going to be embarrassing, by the way. You don't have, honestly, you don't have to dribble or anything. Yeah. Somebody wants to act as a bass player, please? Bass player? Keyboard player? Or pianist, doesn't it? Yeah, over there. What else have we got? Electric guitarist? You've got to remember your role, by the way.
Yeah.
Electric guitarist? Anybody wants to
Anyone come on, someone volunteers on the like. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bass guitar. And we've got
Bass guitar. We've got drums, bass, keyboard, electric guitar, acoustic guitar. Yeah, this is acoustic guitar. Yeah, okay. Tell you what, one of you pick the acoustic guitar, one of you can be worship leader. I know everybody doesn't necessarily have a worship leader, we'll just do it for this intent purpose. So, the acoustic guitar, worship leader. Yes, please. Backing vocalists. Can we have 3 backing vocalists, please? 1, 2,
great, 2,
2, that's fine.
2's fine.
2's fine. And orchestral instrument players. Let's have a couple.
Yeah,
need 2 volunteers from anywhere. 1. Don't forget your roll, by the way, please. Because I already have. Okay. Now, brilliant. What we're going to do, first thing we're going to look at is actually where you normally place yourself and where you should place yourself on the stage and why. Assuming you have a stage, there's some churches work in all sorts of different environments. So we're going to use this here, behind us, and what we're going to do, we're going to give you guys 30 seconds to have a bit of a chat all together and then work out where you would kind of typically go as your instrument role, and then we're going to get you to actually stand there.
Okay, so what we're going to do is see if we can, we're going to get these guys onto the stage. We're going to get them to have a conversation. Okay, so they're going to have a conversation about if they were, they all know what they volunteered for. If they were putting this group, and as they are on stage, wherever they go, what we would like you to do while they're having that conversation is to talk about where you think these different instruments should go, and different people with those around you. So if you come with people from your church, that's great. But if you haven't, don't worry, just talk to anyone around you. And what we want is, where should things go? Why do you think things should go where they are? So we've got a couple of minutes while they talk and you talk, and then we'll see what the outcome is. Okay, so this is the setup. We're going to go around checking with each of them what they're doing, so that you know. So you are okay. You've got here. We've got backing vocalists over here. We've got keyboard, trumpet, violin, and acoustic guitar here. We've got the bass player hiding really at the back. We've got the drummer here, and we've got lead guitar here. Okay. So, out of what's represented in the sort of typical stage setup here, whose church does this? Has that kind of setup? 1, 2, 3,
I guess a lot of you would have not necessarily a full score ensemble. That's absolutely fine. So yeah. Okay, who wouldn't have that typical stage setup? Everyone. Okay. In the middle. Alright. So typically I find when I go to a church that has a full complement of instruments, this is the sort of setup we normally get. Now the reason we've started with this is not only to play together better, one of the primary things we've got to explore is the way that we actually communicate to each other. And there are all sorts of different things we can do, but we have to start with the best ways that we can communicate, otherwise our mouth, our ears, our eyes. Now, there are two models that we look at as we look at these kind of stage setups. We have what I call the produced model of church, and then I have something called the community campfire model of church, and they're two extremes. And what I mean by that is on the produced end, we have some churches that have a very, very stage-managed format of service, generally large churches. It can be up to everything done to a click track, so you know when you start is actually going to be when you stop as well. Songs are set, arrangements are set, and it's a very produced model. Then you've got the other end of the spectrum, which is the community campfire model, which is literally where everybody gets to turn up with an instrument and join in, okay? Now, from a listening perspective, the produced model is obviously going to be, from an audio perspective, better. You know, or going to be more interesting or more professional, polished, or however you want to describe it. The community campfire model, as everybody joining in, it's going to be a great experience for people who are actually joining in, but not necessarily something you actually want to record and sell on CD. Fair enough? Okay. Now, our churches, the majority of our churches, sit probably somewhere along that line and go through different stages of that spectrum, from possibly a Christmas service where everything's very produced, to maybe some informal worship where everything's a bit more community campfire. The point is with all this, is we have, when we're doing something along this spectrum, we generally have an idea of songs, and then we seek to either reflect what the congregation is doing. Some people call it following the Holy Spirit, some people call it going with the flow, but there's an element where we say something in our worship service may well change in the course of the music, and we want to follow along with that. Is that kind of fair? Now the thing is, we have this typical band setup, and what we generally have is our worship leader, lead singer, however you want to call it, and they're generally the one sort of managing the music and where the songs actually go. Next to them, what is the most dynamic instrument on that band stage? Somebody say guitar and keyboard, what else? Somebody say drums, anything else? What's the loudest acoustic instrument? Generally it's the drums. Actually, on any band, everybody has to play to the rhythm section. If the drums go out of time, you have to go to them. It's not possible to keep going. You have to follow the drum because it's the instrument that cuts through the most. Now, you sir, if you're following the gentleman over there, and he decides to change the song, change the instruction of the song, whatever he does, and he's going to make a signal to you to tell you what to do, well, if you could see the position, please, if you could see the worship position. Thank you. Wonderful. It's great as playing guitar as well, that's great. And it's free. Well, what can you see of him at the moment? Nothing. Nothing. You can see something. Yeah, so you've got back of his head. And that's his jeans, that's pretty much it. So if you want to say something to the drummer and say we're going to change the song or we're going to go to the chorus or whatever, what would you generally do? Yeah. Okay.
But if you were, what would you do?
What would you do? So you wait. That's congregation. And that would tell him. You're doing a great job. It's brilliant. So the point is, if you want to say to me, okay, we're going to go back to the chorus, how on earth would you communicate that to your drummer band person? With difficulty. So you have to probably turn around, you have to mount something like, chorus, or some churches create this kind of bizarre set of foot signals. Have you seen this? Scissor kicks and shake the tail, something like that. It's a bit pointless, isn't it? Why do lots of churches set up in this format? Give me some ideas.
Because that's how you're told to set up.
Because that's how you're told to set up. What else? What else? Space available, absolutely. Drums are too loud, so put them at the back. Congregation, so full of vocally, they have a lead singer at the front. Yeah, absolutely. Safe moving drum kit, yeah, absolutely. And, sorry?
That's the way rock bands are set up.
That's the way the rock bands are set up. Now, all these are actually good pragmatic reasons, but principally what we do
That's not very pragmatic.
but actually, that's often the reason we do it, is because we see the bands that we like and the bands that we take music from, this is how they're set up. But these kind of bands, before they do a tour, they rehearse everything for 3 months solid. No stone is left unturned, even the spontaneous bits aren't. And actually, a key lesson here is that if we are going to help each other as we learn to play together, we need to take our cues from music genres that very much look at each other and listen to each other. Rock band stuff is generally kind of fairly set because big tours, they can't afford to make mistakes. What kind of genres of music do a lot of listening and look at each other?
Jazz.
Jazz. Anything else? Folk. What else? Chamber music. Okay. Improvisation. What else? Quartets. Can I do context? Depends what music they're playing. Blues. Yeah. Take a lot of these things. Now, if you look at the way they set themselves up, you've got to have your main sidelines between your lead musician and your drummer quite different to Tim. Should we sort of change people around?
Okay, let's change people around. So the idea of this, and all we're trying to say, and let's reiterate, you don't need to have this set up, but within whatever setup you have, my suggestion is that you think primarily about your sidelines. So let's take our leader, and I'm going to bring the leader over here, okay? So the leader is still somewhere that people can follow, but I'm going to start the leader this way a bit. You can still look that way, people in there can still see the side of your face, they're not looking at your back.
Now, I'm going to do something controversial, let's split the church. I'm going to take our drummer, and you come with me, sir. And I'm going to put you here, but I'm going to face you here. Okay, now something we most dynamic instrument. Now there are challenges because they're towards the front of the stage, and somebody said about you put the drums to the back because it's sometimes too loud. But actually, if your main musician and your most dynamic musician can see each other, communicate things to each other without having to turn around or any bizarre signals, that really helps. Okay.
Okay, and then what we want to do is to arrange this so that other people can see what they need to do. So I'm going to take our bass player, and I'm very good at this place you got here. Go on, and I'm going to put the bass player here. And I'm going to do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, bass and drums, if you've got them, need to work together. Number two, the bass player is on this side of the drummer, because you've got hi-hats and open stands on this side, assuming your drummer is right-handed. If they're not, then maybe think the other way around. They can see what the foot on the kick drum is doing, which is the thing that they need to be particularly locked with. I recently changed my band, relatively recently changed my band around to do this, and I didn't explain why, because I'm not a very good leader. But I had, 2 weeks after I did it, I did actually explain why later, 2 weeks after I did it, I had the two bass players who've been on it those 2 weeks come to me and say, I love it, I can see what the drummer's doing. And it makes such a difference for the way the two got together. So that's all.
Also with the bass, of course you have the bass amp, which is quite loud. The drummer needs to hear the bass amp, because the drums and the bass lock together, the kick drum, and what the bass does is one thing. The bass actually provides the harmony of what the kick drum is really doing. So if they can hear each other, they can sense when one of them has changed an error or one of them has to do. It's a really good thing to put together. Right, next. I would say, let's take keyboards. Where's our keyboard player? answer. Right, now, Tim, you're a keyboard player.
Yes.
What don't you like to hear when you're a keyboard player? What don't you?
Well, anyone else, really?
So we generally put Tim in the middle here, up the front, where you stick on the fonts, which is good.
So when, as a keyboard player, what you need, it's really interesting, what you absolutely need to be able to hear is, well, everyone needs to hear the leader, but then as well as that, I want to hear things like the instruments that might clash with me. So I want to hear an acoustic guitar, where rhythmically I might go wrong with them. I want to hear an electric guitar and melody instruments, where melodically I might cross over with them.
You generally tend to find, particularly keyboards and guitars, play in the same octave range. So if they can bond together, that's where it sounds the best. If they're playing against each other, that's where you get some of the biggest clashes. So they need to either be able to hear what each other's doing. Sometimes putting them together is a little bit tricky because you get a kind of a volume war, or they need to see each other. Now, there were points this morning where I couldn't hear what Tim was doing, but I can see what he was doing on the keyboard. Now, I don't really play keyboard very well at all, so I wasn't quick enough to pick out some of the notes he was doing. But what I was doing was following his rhythms on his left hand, so I was trying to bond with that on my acoustic guitar. So anywhere where our acoustic guitars or electric guitars can see the keyboard player. So your acoustic guitar, let's actually put them next to keys. Okay, and we'll do electrics probably next to that as well. Yeah, that's so. Okay, and what do we have next? We have orchestrals, backing vocalists, and orchestral instruments. Wonderful. Okay, now, backing vocalists and orchestral instruments fall into a unique category in as much as they don't have their own amplifier. So if you put them next to amplified instruments, chances are they won't be able to hear themselves very well. They want more fallbacks, they want more of themselves and their speakers coming back at them, and the volume is likely to go up on stage. One of the things I tell people when you're trying to work out your stage placements is to try and get it so you can acoustically hear each other before you put any reinforcement through monitors and that kind of thing. So, what we would generally do, let's actually move on, lead something up. If you possibly go there, so you can still see the drummer without having to turn around. We'll put backing vocals the other side. And then orchestral instruments, we could put over here, so you guys put around here. Now, having gone from a kind of football formation, where we have the goalie in the back and defenders flanking either side and wingers, we've now got kind of an art panache. Now, this isn't perfect. It has various challenges in the way we put different amplifiers. If you've got a trumpet player and they're right next to a vocalist, sometimes, because the trumpet is acoustically very, very loud, that could cause some difficulties, so you might need to kind of work some stuff around. But, for whatever setup you've got, whatever instruments you've got, the key lesson here is think about the sidelines of who needs to communicate to each other. And make sure they can do it without bizarre foot signals, without having to turn around in contortionist positions, that kind of thing. Our worshipping and lead vocalists is come back slightly on the stage, but can still be seen. So they don't have to be right out front. It might take the congregation a little while to get used to it, because something's changed, and visually they don't know what to follow. You may also find that politically, changing things around like that causes a bit of distress. And we can discuss that sort of thing later.
And also, I mean, you look at how this is arranged, it's quite intensive in terms of the use of space. Because we're not doing is stacking people behind each other in rows. And that means that you do need more space in order to do this. So it might not be possible for everyone to say, oh yes, we're going to do this straight away. The key thing is to just think in that slightly different way in terms of rather than that, or what we've always done. Number one question, how can we best see each other with the space that we've got available?
Yeah. And actually, we have to start from that level. When we're talking about playing together, you have to start from can you see each other? People often talk about style and chops and counting and all sorts of stuff, but it has to start from communication.